Jared Thomas sat alone in his small apartment on the edge of the city. Rain tapped softly against the dusty window. The only sound in the room came from the old ceiling fan above, turning slowly, creaking like it might fall any second. Jared's life was the definition of boring. No family, no friends, no excitement, just him, his instant noodles, and job-hunting websites. He had once dreamed of being an engineer on a spaceship. But after Earth joined the Galactic Union, thousands of humans applied for such jobs. He was just another number, another nobody. And today was just another wasted day until one email arrived. Subject: Urgent employment opportunity. Level 9 clearance required. Raised an eyebrow. Level 9. He had never even been to level 1. He clicked the email anyway. It opened to reveal a very short message. You've been selected, Mr. Thomas. Please report to Terminal 47D. Spaceport District. Bring ID and sign the attached contract. Time sensitive. Reward: life-changing Intergalactic Personnel Division. He laughed. It had to be a scam. He scrolled down to find the attached file, contract_47d.pdf. Just out of curiosity, he opened it. It looked like standard paperwork. Name, key, blood type, agreement to serve. No money mentioned, no job title, no benefits listed. It didn't even ask for a bank account. Still, something about it made him pause. At the bottom, it said, by signing this contract, you agree to all stated and unstated clauses. As per Code Shadows 713, unstated clauses. What did that mean? Jared shrugged. He had nothing to lose. No job, no dreams left, and maybe this was some experimental government thing that paid well. He signed it with his digital ID and hit submit. The screen blinked once, then again, then went black. Stupid. Old tablet, Jared muttered, slapping the side of the screen. It turned back on, and everything looked normal again. The file was gone, deleted. Like it had never been there. Weird. The next morning, Jared woke up feeling strange. His body ached, like he had been running all night. His mouth was dry, and his head throbbed. He stood up and froze. This wasn't his room. The walls were silver, smooth, and glowing with soft blue lights. There were no windows, no fan, no smell of noodles. Just silence. He rushed to the door. Slid open automatically. Outside, the hallway stretched with metal panels. Strange lights blinked above him, and alien symbols floated in midair like holograms. Jared's heart pounded. Am I dreaming? Footsteps echoed behind him. He turned to see two tall alien guards walking toward him. Their armor was dark green, and their faces were hidden behind silver masks. One of them spoke in perfect English. Jared Thomas, you are now under the protection of the Intergalactic Pact Enforcement Division. Wait, what? Protection? I don't even know where I am, Jared stammered. The other guard held up a glowing pad. It showed Jared's name, his Earth ID number, and a stamp that said, Binding Contract Code Shadow 713. His stomach dropped. That was just a job offer, he said weakly. I just clicked it tie, didn't know it was real. It is now, the first guard replied. You are required to complete your obligation. Per galactic law, they escorted him down several silent corridors. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked past him, some floating, some crawling, others gliding. None of them looked at him, but every now and then, Jared could feel someone watching him from the shadows. He was taken to a small room with a desk and a single chair. A female alien with glowing purple skin and 4 eyes sat across from him. She smiled politely. Mr. Thomas, she said, her voice calm but cold. You signed a contract with hidden clauses that marked you as soul-bound to a unique role. I didn't even read it. Jared said, panicking. I thought it was a regular job. Yes, she nodded, but that's how it works. Our legal system values intent, not awareness. You showed willingness. What kind of job is this? Jared asked, voice trembling. The alien leaned forward. You are now the representative of your entire species in a critical galactic matter. Jared blinked. You mean like a diplomat? No, she whispered, her smile fading. More like the defendant. The room went quiet. Jared's heart nearly stopped. His hands shook. What did I agree to? The alien stood up, walked to the wall, and pressed a button. A hologram lit up. It showed Earth. Floating in the middle of a giant star map, several red lines pointed at the planet like targets. If you fail, she said softly, Earth will be removed from protected status and open for collection. Jared felt like the floor disappeared under his feet, all because of one boring file, one click. And now the fate of humanity rested on him. He never imagined that signing a simple contract could turn into this asterisk. Jared sat frozen in the strange metal chair. The room around him still glowed with soft blue light, but his mind was spinning. He kept staring at the hologram of Earth with red targeting lines pointing at it. It felt like a countdown had already started, and he didn't even know what the game was. The alien woman with 4 glowing eyes paced slowly in front of him. Her name was Verla, and she was called a contract overseer in her language. She spoke clearly, but everything she said made Jared more confused. You see, Verla said calmly, Code Shadow 713 is not a normal contract. It's an ancient type of legal agreement, only activated under extreme conditions. Jared rubbed his face with his hands, trying to wake himself up. This can't be real, he muttered. I just needed a job. Verla tilted her head. That's exactly why you were chosen, she said. The galactic systems search for humans who are overlooked, ignored, or desperate. That's messed up, Jared replied, his voice tight. Verla gave a slight shrug. Desperate people read less. She walked over to a glowing panel and pressed something. A new hologram appeared. This time showing the contract he had signed, but there was more than he remembered. Lines of text in invisible ink slowly began appearing on the page, glowing in golden letters. What is that? Jared asked. That, Verla said, is the part you never read. The golden text was in English, but the words made his skin crawl. By signing this agreement, the subject agrees to serve as planetary representative in all galactic legal matters, including, but not limited to, judgment trials, soul-binding oaths, species-level conflict resolution, and emergency extinction prevention. Jared looked up slowly. You mean? I'm Earth's lawyer now. In simple terms, Verla replied. Yes, but this is not a courtroom with suits and ties. This is a galactic trial of survival. If you win, Earth will rise in status. If you lose, Earth becomes free to harvest, sell, or conquer. Jared's hands were cold. I'm not ready for this, he whispered. Of course you're not, Verla said. No one ever is. Before he could speak again, the door slid open. A strange alien entered, tall and thin, with long arms and a face covered in smooth, glass-like skin. It had no eyes, no nose, just a faint mouth and shimmering skin that shifted like liquid metal. Verla stood and bowed her head slightly. This is your legal advisor, she said. From the Sonari species, Jared stood quickly, unsure whether to shake its hand or run. The alien raised its arm slowly and placed a glowing finger against Jared's temple. A soft humming sound filled his ears. Then, words appeared in his mind, like thoughts, but not his own. Jared Thomas, Earth origin, age 29 Earth years, gender, male, emotional condition, unstable but usable. Jared stepped back. Hey, don't read my mind, he shouted. The alien tilted its head, and again the voice entered his thoughts. I do not read, I observe, I must assist. Not judge. Jared looked at Verla. This is a joke, right? I can't even win an argument with my coffee machine. How am I supposed to argue with alien judges about saving Earth? Verla stepped closer and placed a small glowing cube in his hand. Because the contract is already active, if you fail to try, the contract breaks. And if the contract breaks, loses protection. What kind of law system is this? Jared muttered. Verla's voice grew colder. The kind that doesn't care if you understand it or not. The legal advisor guided Jared through a maze of shining hallways. Each corridor looked the same, making it feel like he was walking in circles. They arrived at a circular room with walls made of glowing glass. Inside, a central platform floated in the air. Dozens of strange alien faces stared at him from their own floating stations around the edge of the room. Jared stepped forward, nervously. The advisor placed a small device over his heart. It pulsed gently. This links your emotions to your arguments, the alien said silently in his head. Your passion will be your proof. Your fear will be your weakness. That wasn't comforting. Jared looked around. He didn't know what to say, what to do, or even how this trial worked. Then the lights dimmed. A deep voice echoed through the chamber. Case 713. Planet Earth. Defender, Jared Thomas. Objection. Humanity's uncontrolled spread and potential for galactic threat. Jared's jaw dropped. Wait, we're being accused of being too ambitious? Your species has multiplied in numbers, expanded in technology, and begun exploring space. The voice continued. The question is not what you are now, but what you will become. Jared stood frozen. It wasn't about what humans had done. It was about what they might do. Suddenly, a new image appeared in the air. Footage of Earth wars. Pollution, poverty, weapons testing. Jared's heart sank. He opened his mouth to speak. But no words came out. He wasn't trained. He wasn't brave. He was just a guy who signed the wrong file. The voice asked again, Defender Jared Thomas. How do you plead? Jared looked at the glowing cube still in his hand, then up at the faces watching him. I don't know what to say, he whispered. But I know this, he added, louder. Humans? We mess up? Yes, but we also try. We help each other. We love. We sacrifice. The advisor's voice entered his mind again. Remember the hidden clause? Use it. Jared nodded slowly. He had only one chance to survive this, and somewhere in the fine print was a clause that might save Earth. He could find it in time. Jared sat quietly in a cold metal chair. The courtroom had gone dark after his first words. No reply, no judgment. No clue if he had done something retort terribly wrong. His palms were sweating, his heart still racing. The glowing cube in his hand had stopped pulsing. He felt more alone than ever before. Suddenly, the silence broke. The glass wall in front of him slid open with a hiss. Verla stood there. Her 4 eyes dimmed like a fading lamp. Behind her was a strange creature, tall, thin, and completely smooth. Its entire body looked like silver water wrapped in tight skin. No face, no mouth, no nose. Just a smooth surface that shimmered like a mirror. This, Verla said, is your legal companion. A Sonari mind lawyer assigned to you. By the trial counsel, Jared stood slowly, staring at the alien. How can he even talk to me? He doesn't have a face. I do not speak like you. The voice echoed inside Jared's head again. I speak directly into thought. Without sound, Jared took a small step back. He was still trying to understand how someone without a face or voice could become his lawyer. I don't even know your name, he whispered. The Sonari bowed its head slightly. Names are for the living. I am a function, not a self, but if it comforts you, call me Echo. Echo, Jared repeated slowly. All right then, Echo. What now? Echo raised a silver finger and pointed at the holographic contract again. It hovered in the air like a glowing scroll. the hidden golden text slowly rotating in front of them. Echo moved its hand, and a new section of the contract revealed itself. The letters rearranged, and a small hidden note blinked at the bottom. Clause to 7b. Emotional testimony may override strategic judgments. If proven genuine, Jared blinked. What does that mean? It means your emotions can win the case. Echo said inside his head, but only if they are real. They will test you not just your words, but your soul. Jared looked down at the cube again. So? They're watching my feelings now. They always were, Echo replied as they walked through another hallway. Jared saw other aliens sitting silently in rooms. Some were floating, some meditating, and one was even crying quietly. Are they all defendants too? He asked. Verla nodded. Some are here for similar reasons, others for worse. But you, Jared, are unique. Why? Because no one expected a human to show up. Jared's mind was spinning again. He had gone from unemployed to standing. In the middle of an intergalactic legal war, he had no training, no plan, and his only weapon was a motion that didn't sound very promising. They entered a new chamber. This one was dark and filled with glass screens floating in the air. Each screen showed scenes from Earth, a mother giving her child her last piece of bread, a firefighter saving a dog from a burning house, a group of strangers building a shelter for someone they didn't even know. Jared stared at the images. He had never seen these stories in the news. No politics, no war, just raw, silent kindness. Echo pointed at the screen with the firefighter. This is where your strength lies. The thought echoed, compassion. Is your weapon, show them what humanity really is. Jared took a deep breath. I can try, he whispered. I'm scared. Fear is acceptable, Echo said. It proves you care. They returned to the courtroom platform. The Council of Alien Judges appeared again. Their forms vague and ever-shifting. Some looked like stone, others like fire or mist. They didn't blink, didn't move, just watched. The voice returned, cold and powerful. Human Jared Thomas, the Council has reviewed your initial plea. You have chosen to defend Earth through Clause to 7b emotional testimony. Jared's mouth went dry. He stepped forward as the lights dimmed again. He remembered what Echo said, speak from the soul, not the brain. I know what humans look like from far away. He said slowly, we fight, we make noise, we take up space, and yes, we've done terrible things. But that's not the full story, he added, louder. We cry when we lose someone. We protect strangers without thinking. We give. When we have nothing left, he paused, his eyes wet. I don't have a degree. I don't have power. But I've seen someone walk through the rain to give a blanket to a homeless man. I've seen children donate toys to others who lost everything. That's the part of humanity that doesn't show up on charts or data. He raised the cube to his chest. I can't prove we're perfect. He said, but I can prove we try, and that's what makes us worth saving. The silence after his words was longer than before. Jared stood still, waiting for judgment, his heart thudding loudly in his chest. Then, a soft vibration came. From the cube in his hand, it glowed gently. Echo's voice echoed once more in his mind. You passed the first trial. Jared exhaled sharply. One down, he muttered. How many more? Verla stepped forward and looked at him seriously. The next trial won't be about words. It will be about sacrifice. Jared blinked. What kind of sacrifice? She didn't answer. Instead, the door behind him opened, and he was led into darkness. Jared stepped into the darkness. His feet landed on a smooth, silent floor, but the air felt colder than before. He could hear nothing, not even the hum of machinery. No guards, no Echo, no Verla. Just him and the dark. Then a small light flickered above. A soft spotlight glowed down onto a single metal desk in the center of the room. On the desk sat an old, dusty datapad, screen cracked and the edges burned. Jared approached slowly. There was a strange symbol etched on the back of the device, one he had seen before. It was the same strange shape that had flashed for a second on the contract he signed. He reached out and touched the screen. It lit up with a static flicker. Then a voice, tired, broken, spoke through a recording. "If you're hearing this, it means they've chosen another human." Jared's eyes widened. The voice was human. A man older, weak, desperate. "My name doesn't matter anymore," the voice said. "But I was like you, just a technician. Signed a contract without reading the fine print." Jared leaned in. The screen showed an old message log, countless pages of notes, warnings, and codes. But one message stood out, glowing faintly at the bottom. "Trust no one, especially those who offer help." The voice continued, "The council. They don't just want truth. They want to break you. They want to see if humans can survive in spirit, not just body." Jared whispered, "They're testing my soul." Suddenly, the datapad went dark, but the walls around him lit up. Holograms formed one by one, showing pages of the contract only now. With new hidden lines, Jared moved closer. Reading, clause for 7C. If the representative discovers falsehood in the council's intent, he may invoke the Heartfire clause to change trial rules. Clause 52. Emotional influence allowed. But emotional manipulation results in automatic disqualification. Clause 8. All legal defenders have the right to examine trial records of previous defenders. Jared's hands clenched into fists. "No one told me about these," he muttered. "They hid this on purpose." He reached out to tap the Heartfire clause. But the screen beeped, "Access denied." A new message popped up, "Only accessible." During a moment of self-sacrifice, he stepped back, confused. What does that even mean? What kind of trial is this? The door behind him opened again. Echo appeared, its silver form glowing softly. "You are not meant to see that datapad," Echo said in his mind. "It is from a previous representative. Long forgotten, or erased." Jared snapped, "You said this was about defending humanity, not about playing games. Both can be true." Echo replied calmly, "This is a system built over centuries of fear. Every species once feared becoming what humanity might become." Jared frowned. "They don't fear what we are. They fear what we could be." Echo nodded silently. "Correct?" Echo led Jared through another corridor. This one more colorful, almost peaceful. Soft lights glowed in rainbow patterns, and calming music played in the background. It was nothing like the cold metal rooms from before. "This isn't a courtroom," Jared said slowly. "What is this place?" Echo's thoughts entered his mind again. "This is the memory chamber. Here, your inner truth will be tested." Before Jared could reply, the room changed. The walls around him turned into moving images, his memories. He saw himself as a child. Alone on the school bench, he saw the moment his father left, the moment he lost his first job, the night he cried in bed with no one to call, the day he signed the contract out of hopelessness. Then the image changed again. He saw something he hadn't expected himself, giving his last sandwich to a homeless man on a rainy day, smiling at a stranger who looked sad, fixing a neighbor's broken heater for free. Jared's eyes filled with tears. He had forgotten these moments. Tiny things, simple acts, but they mattered. Even when no one noticed, a soft voice whispered. In the room, not Echo, not Verla, not the judges. It was Jared's own voice, playing from an old memory. "I don't have much, but I can help a little." Then the room turned cold again. The lights faded, and the platform under his feet started rising. He was going back to the council. Echo hovered beside him. "You saw the fine print," Sinari said. "Now ask yourself, do you still believe humanity deserves to be saved?" Jared looked down at Earth's hologram, again still glowing. still marked with red lines. He took a deep breath. "Yes," he said. "We may be broken, but we care, and even in the dark. We try to bring light." Echo's skin shimmered brighter. "Then you are ready for the next test." Jared turned as the courtroom door opened again. This time, Verla stood there, her face tense. "The council wants you to prove your belief," she said. "How?" Verla lowered her eyes. "They want you to." Jared stood still, his breath caught in his throat as Verla's words echoed in his ears. "Take the place of someone marked for death," she had said. The quiet hum of the courtroom faded into the background. All he could hear now was his heartbeat pounding like a drum inside his chest. He looked at Verla, hoping she was joking, but her face, calm, serious, unreadable, told him she wasn't. "What do you mean?" Jared asked, voice shaking. Who am I supposed to die for?" Verla turned slowly and gestured toward a second chamber opening behind her. A bright white light poured out, and in the center of the room, in a glass cell, sat a young alien girl. She had green skin with silver markings along her arms and soft, frightened eyes, chains wrapped around her wrists. Though she didn't seem dangerous, she looked barely older than a child. "This is Keela," Verla said softly. "She's from the species Darnath, once enemies of the council." Jared stepped closer. Keela looked up at him, her lip trembling. She didn't speak, maybe. She didn't even know his language. But her fear was clear. "What did she do?" Jared asked, eyes narrowing. "She was born," Verla replied quietly. "Her parents were freedom fighters during the Darnath War. She was captured as a baby, and the council has kept her here as a symbol. They plan to execute her in 3 days." Jared stared in disbelief. "She didn't commit a crime." "No," Verla said, "but the council believes her death will remind others of the cost of rebellion." "That's not justice," Jared muttered. "That's revenge." Verla looked at him, "And that is why this test exists. If you truly believe in Earth's values, compassion, kindness, sacrifice, then prove it." Jared turned to Echo, who stood silently nearby. "I can't believe this is even part of a trial," he said. "I thought this was about laws, not executions." "You're not just here to argue, Jared." Echo replied in his mind, "You are here to embody what it means to be human. They want to know if humanity is willing to bleed for others. Even those who are not human." Jared's hands were shaking now. "This isn't fair," he whispered. "I didn't sign up for this." "You did," Echo said. "You just didn't know it." Later that night, Jared sat alone in the reflection chamber. He stared into a pool of glowing water that showed his own face. Tired, scared, broken, the face of a man who never expected to carry the weight of an entire planet. And now, the life of a child, he remembered something his mother once said when he was little. Doing what's right isn't about feeling brave. It's about standing up when no one else will. He had never stood up for anything before, but maybe this was the moment. The next morning, he walked back into the main courtroom. The council was waiting, their forms glowing with power and authority. Jared stood before them without trembling this time. He raised his hand. "I will take her place," he said, loud and clear. "I accept the punishment meant for her." The room went completely silent. The council didn't reply at first. Even Echo didn't speak. For a full minute, nothing happened. Then one of the alien judges slowly leaned forward. "You are willing to die for someone not of your species?" "Yes," Jared replied, "because she didn't do anything wrong. And because that's what humans do. We protect the innocent, even when it costs us everything." Another voice rang out cold and sharp. "And do you think Earth would do the same for one of ours?" Jared looked down. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but I know what I would do." That silence returned again. Then the glass cell in the distance suddenly cracked and opened. Keela stepped out slowly, her chains falling to the ground. She looked confused, scared until she saw Jared. She ran forward, stopping just a few feet away from him. Then, slowly, she placed her small hand on his arm. Tears filled her large silver eyes. Jared felt something strange then, a warmth rising through his chest. The glowing cube in his pocket suddenly pulsed. He pulled it out. It was bright, almost blinding. Echo appeared beside him and spoke silently. The council is watching everything. Not just your actions, but hers. The judge spoke again. You have proven your willingness to sacrifice. Now let us see if she is willing to accept it. Everyone turned to Keela. She looked at Jared again, then shook her head slowly. She stepped in front of him, arms stretched out. She wouldn't let him take her place. The cube pulsed again. Brighter than before, Echo turned to Jared. You activated the Heartfire clause, he said. 2 souls, both willing to sacrifice. This is the rarest event in all galactic law. The judges began to rise. The red lines targeting Earth on the hologram faded. One by one, the stars above Jared blinked and turned blue. The lead judge spoke. Human Jared Thomas, you have passed the test of sacrifice. Earth shall remain under protected status. The trial continues, but your heart has already changed everything. Jared sat on the floor, still breathing heavily. His arms wrapped gently around Keela, the alien girl he had just saved. The courtroom lights slowly dimmed as the council vanished into the shadows once again. He didn't speak, and neither did Keela, but their silence said everything for the first time. Jared wasn't just a man caught in something bigger than himself. He was someone who made a choice that could have cost his life, but instead, it changed everything. Echo stood nearby, still as ever. Its body shimmered softly, like liquid silver. Finally, it stepped forward. You did what few have ever done. Jared Thomas, the thought entered Jared's mind. The council now sees your soul. They see your world through your actions. Jared looked up slowly, still holding the glowing cube in his hand. It no longer pulsed, but now it had a symbol on its surface. The same strange symbol that first appeared when he opened the contract back on Earth. What does this mean? He asked softly. Why did this contract even exist? Why me? Moved closer, and this time it sat beside him. This contract was not just a legal document, it said. It was a key, a test written long ago. Not to judge a single person, but to search for the right one. Jared's brow furrowed. The right one? For what? Echo's skin rippled as it sent its thoughts directly into Jared's mind. Images flowed in. Old wars between planets, galactic fires swallowing moons, peace, treaties crumbling under fear. And then, a single document sealed with the very same symbol now on the cube. A long time ago, Echo continued, there was a council elder from Earth long before your time. She helped write the first galactic peace accord, and in case peace failed, she left behind a safety measure, a contract that would only activate when peace itself was at risk. Jared blinked. You're telling me this whole contract thing was created by a human? Yes, Echo confirmed. Her name was Alara Thorne. She believed humans, for all their flaws, held the rare gift of emotional strength, the kind that can't be faked, the kind that can heal a galaxy. Jared looked down at the cube in his hand. Then why didn't anyone explain that to me? Why hide everything? Why put me through this? Echo stood again. Because only someone who walks through fear, sacrifice, and confusion can be trusted with the truth. The walls of the courtroom melted away, suddenly. Jared stood on a floating platform in the middle of a massive galaxy-wide map. Stars twinkled in every direction, and dozens of paths lit up around him, each path connected to a planet, a species, a people. Echo pointed to one of the paths glowing in blue. You have changed the course of your world, but the contract, Isn't finished. Jared turned to him sharply. What do you mean? I passed the sacrifice. Test Earth is safe now, right? Echo tilted its head slowly. Safe, yes, but that was only half the contract's purpose. The other half, Verla's voice echoed from behind them, is to choose the next galactic peacekeeper. Jared turned and saw Verla step on too. The platform with them, her four glowing eyes were softer now. No longer cold or distant. You were never on trial, Jared, she said. You were being watched, shaped, prepared. Earth didn't just need defending. It needed a voice. Jared stepped back, his voice unsure. I'm not qualified to speak for the galaxy. I'm just a guy who signed a contract to get a job. Verla smiled for the first time. Exactly, because you never chased power. Because you showed kindness without knowing anyone was watching. That's what made you worthy. The galaxy map in front of them shifted again. One of the stars turned gold, and a glowing path led directly to Earth from that star. A new set of paths began to open, connecting not just Earth, but others. A ripple effect of peace. Wait, Jared said, stepping forward. If I say yes, what happens to my old life? Verla looked into his eyes. You'll leave it behind. You won't go back to your apartment or your job hunt. You'll become something else. The bridge between worlds, the first human to sit on the circle of peace. Jared stood silently. Everything he thought his life would be had changed. But for once, he wasn't afraid of the change. Keela stepped onto the platform and took his hand. She didn't say a word, but she didn't need to. He saw the trust in her eyes, the hope, and then Jared knew he had already made his choice. The moment he stepped in front of her glass cage, he looked up at Echo and Verla, his voice calm and steady. I accept. Let's finish what Alara Thorne started. The cube in his hand dissolved into light. The contract complete. The symbol burned bright above them. The stars rearranged, and a new chapter in galactic history began. The stars above him sparkled like diamonds in the sky, but they no longer felt distant. They felt connected. Jared stood at the center of the grand galactic holoplace no human had ever entered before. He was surrounded by representatives of more than 50 alien civilizations. Some glowed, some floated, some whispered with their minds. All of them now looked at him not as a threat, not as a trial subject, but as one of their own. The contract had ended, but something greater had begun. Jared Thomas was no longer just a technician, no longer just a man who signed a file without reading. He was now Earth's first galactic ambassador. He took a breath as the golden light of the hall settled around him. Keela stood beside him in a formal robe, free at last. Verla hovered nearby, and even Echo remained by his side like a silent guardian. You look nervous, Verla said softly, her four eyes focused on him. Jared chuckled. I'm about to speak to the entire galaxy. Yeah, a little nervous. Echo's voice echoed in his thoughts. You've already spoken through action. Now your words only need to match your heart. A deep chime echoed across the chamber. It was time. The floating podium rose, lifting Jared into the center of the hall. Lights from every planet blinked as live feeds began streaming to billions of homes across the stars, all watching Earth's representative, the man no one expected. Jared gripped the edges of the podium, then looked around. He cleared his throat and began. My name is Jared Thomas. I was no one important back on Earth. Just a guy trying to find a job. But one contract, one decision changed my life. And I believe it can change the galaxy too. He paused, letting his voice echo through the chamber. I learned that many of you see humans as unpredictable, emotional, even dangerous. You're right. We are all those things. But we're also kind, brave, and willing to sacrifice for others. Not because we're perfect, because we care. He looked toward Keela, who nodded gently at him. This galaxy is filled with fear. Species are afraid of change, afraid of trust, but fear only grows when no one takes the first step. So let this be that step. Let Earth be the beginning of a new chapter. Not just for humans, but for everyone. He reached into his robe and raised the remains of the contract cube, now cracked but glowing with a soft golden light. This isn't just a contract, he said. It's a promise that we won't stop trying, we won't stop learning, and we won't stop standing up for those who can't speak for themselves. Silence followed his final words, but this time it wasn't cold or tense. It was warm, thoughtful. Then, one by one, alien leaders stood. Each raised their hand, claw, tentacle, whatever form they had, toward Jared. A universal sign of respect. Earth's star on the holographic map glowed bright gold. The red targeting lines never returned. Instead, new blue lines connected Earth to over a dozen other stars. Friendships were beginning. After the ceremony, Jared returned to his private quarters. He sat near a large window overlooking the stars. Keela joined him with 2 warm drinks. In her hands, one Earth-style coffee and one from her own planet. "You were good up there," she said softly. "You sounded like someone who belonged." Jared took the coffee and smiled. "Funny. I still feel like the guy who burns toast and forgets passwords." Keela laughed quietly. "Maybe that's why you were the right one." They sipped in silence. For a moment, then Jared looked at the stars again. "Do you think people on Earth even know what happened?" Keela shook her head. "Not yet, but they will. You'll tell them. Not just in words, but in the way you represent them. One meeting, one decision, one life at a time." Jared leaned back in the chair. He had always thought his life would be small, quiet, forgotten. But now, he had a purpose. He didn't need to be a soldier, a genius, or a leader. He just had to be human. The kind of human who chooses kindness, even in chaos. The kind who reads between the lines, not just in contracts, but in people far below Earth. Rotated gently in space, peaceful, unaware of how close it had come to destruction. But now protected, now seen, and above it, in the heart of the stars. Jared Thomas, the man who once wanted nothing more than a paycheck, was now the voice of an entire world, not because he was perfect, but because he dared to care.